It's not fair of you to give me a no.
You can't make 1 + 1 = 3. Like, it's just,
Watch me.
Ooh. Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for coming back if you've been here before, or hi, welcome if you're new. My name's Mickey. I'm a therapist. We talk about therapy things on this channel, and today we're talking about Love is Blind Season 9. We did one recap video already, and we're gonna do another recap video. You guys said that you liked this, so we're doing it again. We are hardly covering everything that's problematic in this season because there's a lot, and we all know that I like to talk, so much so that we have like 8-hour streams every Friday. So we're not doing that. We're condensing some of the most problematic moments, or at least the things that stuck out to me, and we're going to talk about them. If you want to see another one of these, let me know. But like I said, for time's sake, we're only covering a couple of things. The first thing that I want to talk about is this exchange between KB and Edmund. Oh, also, hold on. Before you go any further, if you haven't finished this season, which at this point, hello, finish it. But if you haven't finished it, like major spoilers, we're going to talk about the outcome of everything. So proceed with caution. Oh, actually, also one more thing. Content warning, trigger warning, because we're going to talk about some like problematic, manipulative, potentially abusive relationship dynamics, and also discussions of substance abuse and or substance abuse. If those are buttons for you, emergency exit is up here. Cool, happy, fun times playlist with no potential trigger warnings whatsoever. So let's talk about KB and Edmund, because wow.
You're not the same person on camera. You're not. And that shit literally breaks me down, because then every time we're about to do something fun, we get into it because of an asshole remark that you do. Then all of a sudden on camera, oh babe, oh baby, oh babe, let's do this, oh babe, come on, la da da. And I'm sitting here standoffish because I don't have my fucking emotions. I'm so sorry. I'm not a fake person. I will not do it. No, babe, how about we address the problem?
First of all, I'm confused, or was confused anyways, because when we talked about this on stream, people are apparently mad at KB, or we're like nitpicking at KB for the way that she conducted herself in this exchange. And I just, listen, I think at this point, we, in the sort of discourse about conflict resolution and like couples communication and whatever, we should really embrace that none of us are perfect people or are going to show up perfectly in these moments, right? I want to be very clear. I'm not at all advocating for swearing at your partner, name calling, mocking anybody, all of which are things that did in some form or fashion happen in just this like short exchange already. And from the beginning of this channel, I have encouraged people to remember that none of us are going to, in these moments, conduct ourselves in this very like therapist-y way of communicating. As a clinician, I don't do this, right? And that's because I'm traumatized. Like none of us are people who can escape the stuff that we bring to the table. And so while I'm not endorsing or greenlighting these behaviors, I do also think there is something to be said for acknowledging the overall, I don't know, themes, most of which are a positive sort of like I statement oriented way of communicating, right? It's clear that there's some frustration here, and I do think that we would have benefited from a break and some further personal regulation before we engaged in this conversation. And generally speaking, especially as far as the show is concerned, this is hardly the most problematic thing we've ever seen.
We're sitting in the car. They let you know that your bachelor party theme is Western. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I said, hey, sweetheart, before I can even finish talking, first of all, you never even acknowledged I was talking. You was looking straight ahead. Then you cut me off while talking. For you to sit there and tell me that that wasn't dismissive and you're not sorry about it and you're not apologizing about it because you're not sorry about it. How do I communicate with a person that act like that? And I keep trying different ways, and I'm tired.
This is why I am more apt to embrace the overall theme of this conversation, like the way that she's communicating rather than the specifics of it, because this show also has a history of, first of all, being especially hateful and vile towards Black women and women of color. And I think that's worth having in the back of our minds when we have this conversation as well. But also, it's clear that this couple has struggled with Edmund being a different person off camera than he has been on camera, and that it's clear that she is frustrated and sort of at her wit's end in trying to engage in a resolution with this issue, right? It seems like she has continually made an effort to meet him where he's at, and he's saying things like, I'm not sorry, and like, I don't take it back, which has caused her to sort of be further and further down the line in terms of like frustration and being like at her wit's end with this conversation, which I think is fair. Honestly, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Like, I'm really trying, but you make it so hard.
That's very valid.
I can't force you to want to grow up. The guy I fell in love with in the pods, that's the guy I love. I love you through the good and the bad, but I will not accept you through the bad when you act like that, when you dismiss me.
Listen, I don't super love the phrasing of this in the way that we should be willing to like accept our partner for who they are, regardless of their stuff. But I do think, again, the core of this being that like, I love you, but I will not accept this behavior from you is honestly like a good modeling of boundary setting. We can be clear that we love somebody, that we're not labeling them as a bad person, and that this behavior is not something that we're willing to put up with. The core of this really is someone who is saying, here's what I am willing to put up with, here's what I'm not willing to put up with, and while I do love you, I'm not going to stand idly by while you treat me this way and pretend that it's okay because it's not. Again, I think this is just a good thing for all of us to absorb. This is something we've talked about on the channel before. You can love somebody, you can validate their personhood while also not, that doesn't have to mean that loving somebody requires you to just stand around and be subjected to the harmful consequences of their behavior, even while they're in process of growing and like going to therapy and working on all of their stuff. If it's continuing to cause you harm, you are allowed to draw a line and say, absolutely the fuck not. I'm not willing to continue to be in a relationship with someone who's causing me harm. Did it come out perfectly? No. Do I think this is still a good boundary setting example? Yes.
When you do something, I can get over it. I will not get over it if you act like it didn't happen, though.
Again, a fair boundary.
You own it, you are accountable, and you are truly apologetic.
Again, a good boundary.
Where I do nothing wrong to you,
Okay.
and I'm sorry for you taking whatever I've done wrong to you. But here we are, snowmobiling. I'm in a good mood, looking over, like enjoying this, and
You're in a good mood, sweetheart, but you just told me getting out the car.
I'm not in a good mood right now because I know your feelings are everything, so it's messing up my feelings.
You knew.
I watched this already on stream and watched it again. I'm gonna poke my eyes out with this fucking red flag. First of all, the fact that Edmund openly said, again, I didn't do anything wrong and so therefore I'm not sorry, is a cuckoo bananas take. Let's be very clear. Hold on. Let me put this down before I injure myself or others. Let's be very clear. Someone saying, I don't understand what I did wrong, right? Or I felt justified in my actions, and so I'm confused about why X, Y, or Z thing caused you to be upset, right? There is something to be said, especially for those of us that are neurodivergent, for those of us that have relationship trauma, for those of us that have like betrayal trauma or attachment issues. It is totally okay for you to say, I'm confused. I did this thing because I didn't think that it was bad or wrong, but that's hurt you, so help me understand. I don't understand why this thing harmed you, but I want to, so please explain it to me. That's very fair. I'm not saying that in order to be a healthy relationship participant that you have to understand in the moment that it's happened why the thing that you did has harmed somebody, right? But it's the willingness to learn and the curiosity around like, hold on, I didn't foresee that this would be an issue. Clearly it is though. And so like showing up to the table with some level of accountability, like she was saying, and some level of willingness to engage makes all the difference. This would be a completely different conversation if Edmund had said, I didn't think that I had done anything wrong, but I see that clearly I did, so I'm confused or I'm upset. I need a minute because I'm angry because I didn't think that I did anything wrong, but clearly I did. So I'm upset. Just give me a minute, right? Again, even showing up imperfectly and being like, what the fuck? I didn't think I did anything wrong. So like, hold on, give me a minute. I'm going to go yell into the void and I'll be back. Totally fair. But this is like the opposite, the complete opposite of any and all of the positive or like healthy behaviors in a relationship. Real quick, I want to share something magical with you guys, which is Erin and I's matching undies. I want to say thank you to MeUndies for sponsoring our video this week. You guys know that Erin and I, we are obsessed with each other, and MeUndies has allowed us to take that to the next level with their Match Me collection. We now have matching underwear. MeUndies is the go-to for unbelievably soft underwear and loungewear in their ultramodal fabric, and they have Match Me prints. Look at the matching underwear that Erin and I have. MeUndies is sustainably made from ultramodal fabric, which is ultra comfortable, breathable, adorable and also comes in a lot of fun and festive holiday prints. I'm also jazzed to be doing my holiday shopping with MeUndies because they have a cut and a color for everybody's vibe. And also, who doesn't love cozy pajamas or a onesie or some joggers? So I'm very excited about that. And the best part is that right now you can get up to 50% off. Yes, half off, which is a holiday miracle if I have ever heard one. So definitely go and knock out all of your holiday gifting needs today with MeUndies to get exclusive holiday deals up to 50% off. Go to MeUndies.com/Mickey and enter promo code Mickey. That's MeUndies.com/Mickey with promo code Mickey for up to 50% off. Thank you so much to MeUndies for sponsoring this week's video. And let's go ahead and hop back in.
I was feeling this way before we got on the snowmobile. You literally told me you don't want to talk to me getting out of the car.
Now you yelling.
Because you do this thing where you act like you weren't there. I get heightened when I'm frustrated. You're not understanding the way you make me feel.
Ideally, we would not be speaking in like an elevated tone of voice. We did talk about this on stream. I want to encourage people to remember that even though our response to something might feel justified, and in this case, I think it makes total sense that Calabria is overwhelmed and starting to reach this point where it's like, I don't know how many other ways I can say this because you're just clearly not understanding me. It's very important though that we do be aware that sometimes our partners can be affected by the way that we're communicating in a way that we might not understand, especially folks who grew up in like explosive childhood homes or folks who grew up with like no frame of reference for conflict at all. Those folks can be very sensitive to like an elevated tone of voice or speaking more quickly, right? So it's important we be aware of that. Be willing to, take breaks, moderate yourself, use whatever coping skills you need to like come back down to a level that allows you to communicate in a way that isn't going to accidentally trigger your partner. And I think there is a difference between like greenlighting somebody's behavior as like, yeah, go do that, and validating the understanding where Calabria is coming from. Because I do think it makes perfect sense that she's this frustrated. And again, ideally, we're not going to communicate this way. However, sometimes people do. And again, this is hardly the most toxic thing we've ever seen on this show.
You minimize shit.
I'm seriously like, oh my gosh, my first time on a snowmobile.
And I can't enjoy it because my man won't apologize because something I've been asking him to do to just be accountable
And then you want me to
apologetic
apologize to you
for something you're not sorry for.
something I'm really not sorry for.
If I feel away, you don't give a fuck, long as Edmund don't feel away.
That's not true.
Sweetheart, you just sat here and said that you're not apologetics, even though you know that it was a dismissive behavior.
When I have apologized to you, I was serious and I really did it. I really deeply apologized. And there's other apologies
and I've
that I've done.
accepted.
But KB, let me finish.
But I'm letting you know I accept
I know, or keep interrupting me. And no, right now, I'm not gonna say sorry to you.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
Okay.
Okay. So don't say shit.
Only reason I want to say sorry to you because
it's nothing to be sorry about.
Yeah,
What are you apologizing for in this very moment?
Nothing.
Okay.
I've really done nothing wrong to you.
Okay.
This is the point that we've like fully lost the plot. I do think that KB should have walked away by this point. However, this is another one of those things that can be very activating when somebody continually interrupts you, and then when you're trying to speak your piece, they say that you're interrupting them. This does have elements of self-victimization that can be a red flag in your relationships. If you notice that somebody is doing this to you cyclically, you are very much allowed and justified in calling this out into the carpet and saying like, that's super interesting that when I ask you to stop interrupting me, you're not interrupting me, or you're justified in doing that, or you can't help it. But when I interrupt you, now all of a sudden it's like a grave issue. That's a little weird. You are very allowed to be upset about that. And again, if we're at the point where we're both like doing this, walk away. I want to encourage you to walk away. I know that it's hard as a person who has a hard time with being like, let's just hash it out now. I get it. And one of the best ways that you can minimize the level of like harm and dysfunction in your communication is to say like, I'm taking a break. I'm taking a break. And also if your partner says they're taking a break, to use that time for yourself rather than stewing and thinking about how mad you are and how upset you are and all the things that are frustrating to you, to also take that time to regulate yourself, do some breathing, walk outside, do anything. Except for dissociate. Try not to dissociate, but do something, functional with your emotions, because again, it's going to increase the odds that your communication is actually going to get somewhere productive. This is not productive. Like, we fully lost it at this point.
I think if I really done you wrong, you would not be so sick.
No, I'm still
or you
fighting for
swallowing
you.
it. Okay.
I always swallow shit. And
Okay, this is the other thing. The fact that Edmund is continuing to say, I didn't do anything wrong, I'm not going to apologize, and if you were really upset, you wouldn't be here. This is, again, the self-victimization thing, and also the refusal to take accountability. I want to be clear. It's one thing to say, I'm not going to apologize if I don't mean it, right? There's nothing that inherently bad in saying I don't want to be disingenuous. However, this is not, I don't understand what I've done, and so I don't want to just spam the words I'm sorry in a dishonest way. I would like to first understand what I've done so that I can then apologize from a genuine place. This is, I don't think I did anything wrong, and so therefore I don't believe that I owe you an apology, and so therefore you being upset is invalid. This is so problematic. It's so dysfunctional. The other thing about this is, again, the refusal to acknowledge KB's point of view as being valid. This is a major red flag in a relationship. Again, it's one thing to say, I don't get it, versus I refuse to get it. This is, I refuse to get it. This is, I have no desire to get it. I think really begs some questions about either our compatibility level or about the emotional maturity of a partner, right? If this person is not willing or able to do the work on themselves to get to a place where they can be curious about it, is this really a relationship that is wise to be in? And that's not to say that Edmund's a terrible person. Let me be very clear. This is not a condemnation of his character. And ultimately, sometimes we have to make the call in a relationship that I'm here, this person is here in terms of emotional maturity. Am I willing to be in this relationship and potentially be harmed, like catch some strays while this person is trying to get up here? And if the answer is no, you're not mean or bad for saying that. It is very much okay to say, actually, this is dysfunctional, this is unhealthy, and sometimes it's genuinely unsafe to be in a relationship with someone like that. That's just the truth. It's okay to have compassion and empathy for somebody while they're in the middle of doing the work, which I think a lot of people do for Edmund. And that doesn't mean that this person has carte blanche to sort of like fly off into different directions and cause either direct or indirect harm as a result of their attempts to grow. Ultimately, it's Edmund's responsibility to work on his own stuff, and he seems to lack the self-awareness that he even has stuff to work on in the first place.
I'm going to stop.
Okay.
I promise to God, I'm going to stop. I am fighting for something that you're not fighting for the same.
Right. Okay.
Now we've just shut down. This
If
is,
I don't
again,
think
like,
I'm in the wrong, I'm not gonna be saying I'm sorry because you're gonna know I'm not serious. But I want to say I'm sorry just to like have you hear it, but you'll sense it and tell like I'm not serious.
I never want you to just say sorry
I
because you
know,
want
so
to.
that's what
I
I'm
want to
doing
hear
right
it.
now. But it's,
You didn't even tell me sorry, so that's fine.
I
You
know,
didn't do it.
Exactly.
I don't want you
you're
to
not-
ever
you-
apologize
you
about
getting
something
mad at
you're
me
not
for not
sincere.
saying sorry for something I'm not sorry about.
this is also the thing where there's either a willful misunderstanding or genuinely just the lack of awareness that what he's done has been hurtful, where he's saying, you're mad at me because I won't say I'm sorry for something that I'm not sorry about, which is not the issue. KB is upset that he's been dismissive, that he is behaving differently on camera versus off camera, and that he's not apologizing or genuinely remorseful for those things. But Edmund is trying to distill this down to, you're mad at me for not being inauthentic, and so therefore that's not fair, right? Which is not the case, and also creates this false position that KB has to argue against. It makes it seem like she's unreasonable when really that's not the case. I want to encourage people to be aware of this in your own relationships. If this happens to you, you are very much allowed, and I would encourage you to say, I'm not having that discussion with you. This is not about that, right? This is about the fact that XYZ thing happened, and so I want to have a conversation about that. Sometimes people, either intentionally if they're being manipulative or abusive, or unintentionally if they're just genuinely not there with their own growth, can derail a conversation, and then we've fully lost it. We're arguing about something that it's not even true.
You saying I did something wrong, I did nothing wrong.
So you cutting me off while I'm talking to you. I simply was just like, sweetheart.
And you keep on saying
you're
I
still not
cut you
about
off
to.
right now.
It does bother me the way that she says sweetheart, though. I do feel like this is kind of condescending and rude, and we could really just do without that.
You
Bruh,
cut me
stop
off
fucking
way.
talking to me, bitch, because you're not letting me talk.
Yeah, see, this is a problem. We very much should never be doing the thing where we're name calling and especially swearing at our partner. It's one thing to use profanity as like a descriptor, but to use it toward someone, Not cool. Don't do this in your relationships. And again, I think we should have walked away a long time ago because it's clear that our emotions are like up here now when they should be down here. However, I do want to point out, it does seem like KB is almost like gentle parenting this adult man. And I don't know if she's doing that on purpose or if it's just like a reflex, which a lot of folks experience if you're in a relationship. Especially this is very common in like the cis-het dynamic, where in a cis-het dynamic, it's usually the woman who will default to accidentally sort of parenting her male partner. Not great, right? Men should be responsible for themselves as adult men. Women should be responsible for themselves as adult women. And we shouldn't be gentle parenting each other. But this dynamic does happen a lot. And if you notice this, I want to encourage you to stop. I want to encourage you to stop doing this. If your relationship falls apart because you're not gentle parenting an adult human being, that's not on you. That's not your fault.
I didn't just agree with you a moment ago, but I let you get that shit off your chest. This is how you bring me out my fucking character. Like, damn. At this point, you know how to push me and you just be doing this shit. You can get a degree in something, it would be cutting KB off. That would be your fucking degree. Because that don't make no sense to keep doing that shit.
It's a little funny, but it's really not helpful and it's kind of dysfunctional to say. Okay, we're going to talk about Allie and Anton because there were a lot of questions and concerns about this situation. So let's get into that.
That's the last one.
You can share it.
Drink.
What did you do with
That's what
him?
they're talking about.
I didn't do anything with him.
Like
It was
White
all
Claw
you.
or something.
Yeah.
Sorry, hold on. For context, both of these people, I'm pretty sure, Anton definitely, maybe Allie, are inebriated. They've been drinking. I think this is after one of the Love is Blind like get together things. And they're talking about where the last like beer or White Claw or something in the fridge went because they had a 6-pack of them and they're all gone now.
Where did they go?
I don't know what you did with them. Jesus,
Okay.
woman. Must have drank them all.
Was that 12 pack?
Yeah, I think it was a 12-pack.
I literally had 2.
About to have 3.
When did you have those?
I didn't. I mean, me and Patrick had a couple, but...
Patrick was over?
I want to point out the lying immediately. She said, why did you have like all of those? Meaning like she had 2 and there was obviously another 10. And he said, I didn't. Oh, well, me and Patrick had a couple. Like we're immediately lying, contradicting ourselves about what the situation is, which is a red flag. If you notice this about a loved one, a partner, somebody that they are consistently having half-truths, white lies about their engagement with substances, that should be like an antenna raised. Like, take note of that.
Yeah, we had like maybe 4.
He came here? Why didn't you tell me he came?
We had a couple. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? There was
That's
a person
news.
in her home that she didn't know
He
about.
came in here?
I think he was like downstairs and I ended up coming down with him and
I think.
this was, what, 3 days ago? 4 days ago?
Yeah, I know when you met up with him, but I didn't realize he came in our apartment.
No, he didn't come into the apartment. He was downstairs. I'm saying I brought him down a drink.
A drink.
Yeah, 1 for him, 1 for me.
Again with the lying. First it was 4, now it's 1 for him, 1 for me.
Okay, so what happened to the other ones?
I don't know. I think we just kind of, we drank them. I know you.
Oh, I didn't.
So first it was we had 4, then it was he had 1, I had 1, and now it's, well, we drank all of them. Again, with the lying. There's no consistent story.
I drank a couple and that's it.
You also had a 12-pack of Coors in there.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, ew.
Do you realize how that's concerning?
Not really, no.
So for someone in a relatively short amount of time to have consumed a 12-pack of Coors and at least by his own admission 4 White Claws or other beers or something is concerning. We talked about this on stream. We're going to talk about it here. I want to encourage people to please unlearn the very American attitude about alcohol that it is totally fine and completely normal to binge drink to the degree that you black out or to drink to excess every single time that you consume alcohol. That is a dysfunctional behavior. You can get mad at me, you can yell at me in the comments, but the truth is that America has a very problematic relationship with alcohol where we've normalized the consumption of it to the degree that we're so inebriated we can't accurately take care of ourselves, and so somehow also simultaneously say that substances like marijuana are the worst thing on the planet. Let's be very clear that consuming recreational substances is something that we should do with a care and a concern and a responsibility for our own safety and for the responsibility and safety of other people. Hard stop. It does not matter what the substance is. I want to be clear, I'm not endorsing the use of substances recreationally, especially illegally. Generally, we want to have a sort of conservative attitude towards that. because it's unsafe and can be harmful to our health. And our attitude about the degree to which we drink is dysfunctional. There is a lovely infographic that I'm going to link in the description that is from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration that gives some more clear outlines as far as alcohol consumption is concerned. First of all, our concept of what is like one drink, fundamentally flawed. A lot of us assume that like one standard sized glass of wine is a single drink. And actually one glass of wine is technically considered to be 5 ounces. So what you're getting at like a restaurant, especially in like the big cups, might be like 1.5 to 2 glasses of wine. And also one drink for beer is considered 12 fluid ounces of 5% alcohol or less. So especially if you're a craft beer drinker, you might be consuming 1.5 to 2 drinks per 12 ounces because of the alcohol content. So SAMHSA defines excessive drinking as having 4 or more drinks on one occasion, and heavy drinking to be having 8 or more drinks per week. For women, it's 1 more basically. For men, people that they define as men. The point of me bringing this up is that, again, our understanding culturally around alcohol is very much a flawed one in the sense that we think it's perfectly normal to go out with our friends and to get fucking blasted every weekend, and it very much is not. What is this? Like, best case scenario, 16 drinks in a week is a wild overshoot of what is considered binge drinking even. And if this is happening regularly, then we really need to have a conversation about our issues with substance use and potentially substance abuse.
What's the point?
Are you serious?
Me having a couple beers here and there doesn't represent who I am or anything about me.
Very defensive.
A normal week for me is maybe having 1 to 2 nights. I'll turn on like a movie or something, watch it for a couple hours, have a drink or two, and
That's a concern for me.
what part of that is a concern for you?
What part of that isn't a concern?
If you think it's a problem, I have no issue at all showing you it's not a problem. I won't drink for a week or 2. If I was a drug addict or if I was an alcoholic or whatever the case is, then it's like there's a pattern to it.
This is a common misconception, by the way. The assumption that if you are an alcoholic, you have to drink every day, or that you drink X amount of drinks every day. If you are a person who struggles with substance use or alcohol consumption, it can also take the form of not being able to stop drinking when you start drinking. So maybe you're not drinking every day. Maybe you don't need a drink to function every day. But when you do start drinking with your friends or when you go out, you can't stop drinking. That is very much cause for concern. And I want to be clear, my affect about this is not to be judgmental or to make anyone feel ashamed, because especially substance abuse disorders is a disorder, it is a disease, and it's not something that we have control over. It's an addiction that you very much deserve to have help and guidance around how to deal with that. And I am being kind of a wet blanket about it because the steps in between somebody struggling with substance use and substance abuse are sometimes influenced by the way that we culturally normalize an excessive amount of alcohol. And it's important to be very clear about that. I'm not saying this to be judgmental. Again, it's just simply to educate about the fact that we normalize something that can lead to a clinical issue, and not being open and frank about it, I think, does people a disservice.
There's no pattern.
That doesn't mean it's not an issue.
Why are you being like this right now?
Is your normal work week like you not cleaning up after yourself, you not doing your laundry? And
Yes,
The immediate defensiveness and blaming here is also a red flag,
100%. That's my norm.
because those things are not the same, and that's okay.
That's fine.
Like, you're just being defensive instead of just being honest with me. Like, if it's an issue, it's an issue.
What's an issue? Me having more drinks than you think is acceptable in the course of 10 days? Mm-hmm. It's like, tell me what you want me to do.
No,
Good for her.
you're a grown person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to tell you what to do.
Good for her.
Is the tequila still in the fridge?
The fake confusion.
No, that one's not.
Anton, there was like half a bottle left in there.
I don't know how much is in there. It was
Right.
So at this point, we've had half a bottle of tequila, 12 beers, and at least 10 White Claws, ciders, whatever, go missing. Whether he consumed all of those or not is up for interpretation. But again, that amount of alcohol having gone absent in 7 to 10 days is very much a warning sign.
I'm concerned.
you drink, I drink.
See, this is the normalization of the behavior.
I think you've had quite a few more drinks than me tonight. 'Cause,
Now we're judging.
you know, but
Finger
that's
pointing
fine.
to deflect.
I've been nothing but like real and genuine with you. All I ask of you in return is kind of the same thing. And if I lied to you about anything, obviously that changes things, but I haven't.
This is again the thing where we're trying to normalize the behavior to the degree that it's like, oh, well, you don't clean up after yourself and I accept you, so you should just accept me, even though I have some very concerning behaviors regarding my engagement with alcohol. Again, I want to be clear. This doesn't mean that Anton is a terrible person, and Allie is very justified in being concerned about this and also having some doubts about whether she wants to marry a person who not only has concerning behaviors around his alcohol use, but is also actively either in denial or lying about those issues. Okay, now we're going to talk about Annie and Nick and the breakup conversation that they had, because lots of people have thoughts about this. We've made a whole series about attachment videos, or attachment styles rather, so we're going to get into that in this conversation.
I'm really glad we can sit here though and talk today.
Context, they had a fight the evening prior after the sort of get together that included Annie being extremely dysregulated and seeming to have a lot of anxiety about whether or not Nick loved her and wanted to be with her, where she was kind of repeating the same thing over and over again and expressing like an anxiety about Nick's perceived lack of commitment.
I think last night we were not in a good place.
Definitely too many drinks. Definitely saying like what's on like the top of my mind, even when it's not always exactly how I want it to come out.
So this is very much already an attempt to minimize. There's definitely like some embarrassment and shame in here, if I had to guess. I want to be clear. It's very normal for people to have anxiety and like, you know, the sort of phenomenon of like hangxiety, right? Like the hangover anxiety thing after drinking a lot and being sort of like a blabbermouth. Fair enough. And this does seem like Annie is trying to suck back in whatever truth accidentally spilled out the evening before in an attempt to sort of smooth, right? This is an anxious attachment thing that people will do a lot. It's a very people pleaser behavior of like, no, please don't look at the thing that I said that makes everything awkward or weird. Pretend that didn't happen because I don't want you to become so uncomfortable that you don't choose me. Please don't abandon me. If you notice this happening for you, I want to encourage you to do some work around your attachment style, because the truth is that you deserve to be partnered to someone who accepts that you will sometimes, in fact, have emotions and doubts and anxieties.
The things that you're worried about come to the front.
For sure.
You know, and I know I heard that from you last night, and it reminded me a lot of Cabo. It reminded me of the argument that I never wanted to have again with you. I can't stand like you putting words in my mouth. It's the, well, you don't love me then, things like that. And it's like, I hope that I've just been able to show you that how much I really do love you.
Don't mean to be like, oh, you don't love me. It's, hey, what are we doing next? And you're telling me that you don't know. I'm just trying to like give you the grace that like you need and be very patient with you, because I also need like patience and grace from you.
This is very much the thing where even though it's clear that this man is not being upfront with her, which will become evident in a second, that she is trying to force herself to accept less than what she should be accepting, right? He's very much 1 foot in and 1 foot out the door. We've talked about Nick. We all know that I hate this man. He's been very much 1 foot in and 1 foot out the door, and she is again trying to minimize and pretend like that doesn't bother her. This is very like pick-me behavior for what it's worth. And again, we've talked ad nauseum on the channel about how problematic and not fulfilling this is as like an orientation in relationships. And so again, if you notice this in yourself, if there's somebody that you love that seems to take this tack, sometimes really loving people is being honest with them about parts of our presence in the world and in relationships that are just no longer serving our best interest. It is a survival mechanism, especially if it's rooted in anxious attachment and inconsistent parental bonds. However, it does not serve you as an adult and can sometimes become almost a self-fulfilling prophecy of dysfunctional relationships.
Because sometimes I just have a meltdown.
Yeah, see, we're like minimizing the behavior. Like, silly me, I'm just like such an emotional little girly, just having meltdowns for no reason. And I think it's probably true that she is having a meltdown, but about a very valid concern, which is that he does not provide her with any tangible investment in their relationship. I do think we talked about this before. This couple seems to be a sort of like yes and, right? Like Nick is 1 foot in and 1 foot out the door, which creates an anxiety for her, justifiably so. However, her own anxiety and frenetic fears about being abandoned cause her to be like further fanning the flames of him being 1 foot in and 1 foot out the door, which pushes him further away. We're doing this thing, right? Pursue, withdraw. This is that dynamic that, while I don't super love the way that either of these people are behaving, it is a thing that is fixable. I think it's good that they broke up, to be clear, but this is a dynamic that's fixable in relationships where they're not like wholly dysfunctional from start to finish.
But honestly, like, that was a breaking point for me. Getting to the altar, that's not a happy idea.
This is what I'm fucking talking about. He just said, don't put words in my mouth. You know, it really bothers me when you XYZ. As if to insinuate, I am invested in our relationship and I do love you. He literally just said, I do really love you. And also I'm dumping you though. This is such, first of all, inconsistent and confusing behavior. It's very valid, I think, for anybody to be like, what the fuck? After hearing this disclosure one after the other. But also, this is cowardly behavior. If you know that your relationship is not a good fit, just be honest about it. Just take the L, have the uncomfortable conversation, and do the damn thing. But to do this like, oh, well, this is the same thing that he did about the religion, where he rejected one woman on the basis of her religion so as to give himself an out and not have to look like a bad guy. Like, oh, well, it's you. You're the problem and I just simply couldn't. This is the same thing. He has a pattern, clearly.
I still want to get married. And I want to get married to you. Like, I don't want to get married to somebody else.
Oh, Annie.
Please just try.
Oh.
The wedding is not something that I want to do.
I don't need you to tell me no right now.
I know you don't want to.
Just like how I don't need you to tell me yes right now.
Oy, oy, oy.
I can't go on any longer.
Let yourself be happy. You're Nick fucking Amato. Like, you do everything. You literally do everything and you do it well.
This is a fawning behavior. Like, we have immediately defaulted into, no, don't leave me because you're amazing, because you're so lovely, and because I love you so much, and because you're so cool, and you do everything. Let yourself be happy. Please just stay with me. Please just try. Please just try. I want to be clear that this is likely a trauma response. This is maybe like an attachment issues. This might be like a trauma in like a parental type of way, right? Maybe there's some abandonment issues or some betrayal issues happening there. I don't know. I don't know the lady, and I'm not diagnosing her with anything, to be clear. This is purely like armchair psychology at this point. However, sometimes we are the people who, because we are so afraid of being alone or being abandoned, because it pushes this self-esteem button, it kind of activates this wound around not being good enough, we feel compulsively driven to pursue relationships with people who are actively trying to run away from us. And I want to encourage you to do some work around that if you notice that in yourself, because not just because obviously it's ideal for us to do the work and the growth and whatever, but also because you deserve to be in relationships with people who make you feel stable and steady. The truth is that no one should have to beg somebody who is 1 foot out the door, please stay, please stay, please stay. I think there is also a level of sort of compulsory relationship milestones happening in here. We talked about this before. Annie especially seems to have demonstrated some fixation with the concept of marriage and with the idea of achieving this milestone, right? I'm a real grown-up once I get married and have babies and have the house and the picket fence and the golden retriever and the 2.5 children, right? Like, that's the thing. I want the American dream. Doesn't matter who it is, though. Doesn't matter who's standing up there at the altar, as long as it's just somebody who's willing to say, I do, to allow me to achieve this milestone, I'm cool with it, which is not great, right? You deserve more than that. You deserve so much more than that. And while I'm neither of these people's biggest fan, Annie does very much deserve to be in a relationship with somebody who is not actively fleeing from her and also doesn't have the courage to just be honest about how he feels.
So why wouldn't you do this?
I don't want to mess this up.
But so is owning a business.
What?
So is buying a home. So is moving away from your
Marriage to me is
family.
more important.
So why not do this with me?
We should not be launching like a timeshare presentation to trap somebody into staying with you. Again, you deserve so much more than that. Everybody deserves so much more than that. And this, I think, is a great example of the way that sometimes our insecurities and our trauma like hijack our brain. I would not be surprised if Annie watched this back and was like, I don't love this moment for myself. And that's totally valid, right? I'm very thankful that some of my worst moments haven't been filmed and televised because none of us are our best selves in that moment. Your frontal cortex, your rational, logical part of your brain switches off in this moment where we're having a trauma activation, and our survival brain switches on. So we start saying and doing shit that is like not reflective of our real core values, but is instead guided by a desire to just survive, right? Just get the thing that we feel we need to continue existing in this moment. And I think for Annie, it is, at least it seems like it's either approval in the form of being chosen by a partner, particularly a man, or the legitimacy of achieving a life milestone for something like marriage.
I know that I will have a great marriage. I know that I will be a great mom. I'll be a great mother.
I've taken everything you've said to me like to heart.
But has he taken anything that you've said to heart? No.
I'm choosing what's right for me.
I don't like him, but he's correct.
Like, get out of your head and just like be in this and like love me, and like it's amazing.
This is very much like begging somebody to stay who has been clear that they don't want to be with you. And again, if you notice this in yourself, I want to encourage you to do the introspection and the work. Like, there's always links in my description for finding a therapist. They're not affiliate links. I just love you guys and want you to live your best lives because you very much deserve to feel safe and stable in your relationships. And this is not that.
I do love you.
Please.
Okay. So this was the thing that sort of like, I think was most shocking to me about this exchange. The way that we went from, oh my God, no, to timeshare presentation. I am the persuasion, I'm launching a PowerPoint presentation, to laughing, hugging, kissing, baby, please just stay. We're like rapidly filing through our like last ditch instincts to appeal to this person to get them to stay. This very much reads as like a trauma response to me. I don't know if that's true. This is me just speculating about something, but it does very much read as like the survival brain kicked on and we're doing all the things that have been previously successful in trying to get somebody to stay. For what it's worth, we talked about this in the attachment series. I'll put that up here. Anxious attachment people will hyperactivate in these moments where they sense abandonment. So rather than slipping away and dissociating and secluding into themselves, which is what avoidant people will often do, anxious people will hyperactivate in being overly emotional, right? We cry, we scream, we freak out, which is what babies do. It makes sense on a logical level. Or we will do this, right? We're laughing, we're smiling, we're being affectionate. Please like me. Oh my God, please stay. We're over emoting. We're being very affectionate and like, again, hyperactivating. Or we become these people who are hyperactivating by trying to do the most, right? We're singing, we're dancing, we're spinning the plates and we're like, la, 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 look at me, look at me, look at me. I am so worthy. Look at all the value that I just demonstrated. I'll be a great wife. I'll be a great mom. You're a business partner. You do this, you do that. Let me help you. This is sort of, to me, this reads very much that as like all of these things that have been successful in the past at trying to persuade somebody into staying, we're rapidly filing through them right now to try to get this to stick, and it's not working.
How long do you want to drag this out for?
Yeah.
It's not fair of you to give me a no.
You can't make 1 + 1 = 3. Like, it's just,
Watch me.
Ooh.
I think we do have to stop.
No.
If
No.
you can't tell me to stand up there and marry you.
And now we're hyperactivating by being emotional. We're having like an emotional breakdown in this moment. Also, shame on him for like, oh, baby, and holding on to her and stuff. Be clear. Set a clear
this whole time,
message.
My love for you is real.
And I don't want to have another conversation where you're saying, well, you said you don't love me. I never said I don't love you. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't be here.
Well, that's not true.
I'm so sick of that.
Plenty of people stay on Love is Blind.
You're flipping my whole world upside down. So it takes a second, okay?
The arguments that we've had have really fucking sucked. That's not healthy leading up to a marriage. Honestly, those things hurt.
I really dislike this man. I don't disagree with what he's saying, though. That is true. We've talked about this at length about this show. People who are having arguments and disagreements and conflict in what, like an 8-week span? Such a bad sign. This is supposed to be the honeymoon period. You're supposed to be like, la, la, la. And this experience is rife with arguments and trauma and betrayal and overwhelm. None of that is good.
So if that's the reason, then that's the reason, Nick. I need you to just be clear. Like, give me something.
Honestly, that's fair.
The reason that I'm not willing to marry you is because I am unhappy.
Okay, let's go start packing then. I think you'll look back and regret this.
You can't force me to get to all.
I'm not forcing you to do anything, Nick. You're the one that is asking me to leave now.
This is again the hyperactivation. This is why I said I really feel like we're just like Rolodex flipping through the things that have worked in the past by saying like, well, I think you're going to regret this. Again, we're trying to demonstrate value. And the hyperactivation just now, we're yelling, we're screaming, right? I want somebody to give me what I want. And so on a subconscious level, obviously, most of the time this is happening subconsciously. We're just acting on instinct because of our survival brain. But the underlying subconscious thought is if I freak out and have a tantrum, someone might give me what I want, right? It's almost like a childlike state of being where we revert to this form of ourselves that tells us if I lay down on the supermarket floor and scream and cry and throw a fit, mom might buy me cookies, right? Obviously, it's deeper than that. It's not about like trivial things like cookies, but the theme of that is very much the same. The rest of this is just like royalty-free or not royalty-free music actually, because Netflix demonetizes everything that I put up. So we're going to call it there. If you guys have other things that you really want me to talk about, let me know. Obviously at this point, we're a little bit removed from the season. And actually, I think when you're watching this, we're either now like about to be streaming The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, or we're going to start streaming Secret Lives of Mormon Wives next week on Friday. So come hang out. We watch trashy reality TV all the time, and there's lots to be learned from that show. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Let me know if you disagree with me about anything. And if you like the video, you can subscribe. We talk about this and other educational things. And don't forget to share the video to help the channel grow and to help each other grow. And I will see you guys next Saturday. Okay, bye.